Welcome to Remedy of the Week. My name's Mindy and I'm a naturopath and herbalist, and each week I come to you presenting a new remedy that I use in my clinical practice. So today we're talking about something that I use as a nutraceutical, which basically means that it is used in place of some of the nutritional things that you can get from your diet. But this is a compound that is used in anxiety conditions, and it is used to cross the blood-brain barrier. So what is this compound? It is L-Theanine. So L-Theanine is a derivative, it's an amino acid that's found in teas, particularly green and black tea, but it's also found in some mushrooms as well. So it contains some amazing properties that are used in healing circles to do an array of different things. So one of the main aspects that it has going for it is that it is neuroprotective, which means it protects the neurological centers of the brain. It is an anti-anxiolytic, which means it can help with anxiety. It is a tonic. It is a neurotropic, which means it is neuroenhancing or cognitive enhancing. It is mood stabilizing, and it also acts as an antidepressant. So that's a pretty big profile, and the good news about L-Theanine is that it's generally well tolerated and can be used in children and the elderly in most cases. So some of the indications that we use L-Theanine for include acute anxiety, panic disorder, stress, cognitive performance, support for major depressive disorders, sleep disorders, anti-aging, and dopamine depletions. So that's just a list of some of the main indications. It can also be used just to help with focus, because often we find that life gets busy, we're all over the place, we're trying to do 1,000 different things, so our focus can be all over the place, and L-Theanine can just help with that as a generalized remedy. So some of the indications that L-Theanine is amazing for is the acute settings that we use it in. So it works chronically too, but it works better in the studies for the acute settings, which means when somebody is having an episode of anxiety that's just come on quite suddenly, L-Theanine can be a great adjunct to help calm things down. So it's naturally occurring, found in tea, as I mentioned before, and some mushrooms, but the difference between L-Theanine and other amino acids is that it crosses the blood-brain barrier. Very few things in natural medicine are able to do this. So when we have remedies that are able to infiltrate that area and create healing effects, we know that they're going to do something amazing. So what it can do is promote brain activity and affecting a deep state of relaxation. So it actually induces a calming effect very quickly. So within 20 minutes of application, it can start to calm T-alpha wave activity of the brain. So it is similar to glutamic acid in its structure and appears to function as a glutamate reuptake inhibitor. So it has effects on receptors like GABA, and it influences things like dopamine and serotonin on the brain. So L-Theanine supplementation is thought to acutely reduce stress and anxiety and improve sleep quality and enhance cognitive function. So it may act synergistically with caffeine, enhancing its neurotropic effects while also reducing its excessive stimulatory effects. So if you're very sensitive to caffeine, but you like to enjoy things like a cup of coffee, or you have something that you might have just gone over the edge and had a bit too much caffeine, you could take some L-Theanine to help reduce those overstimulatory effects that caffeine can induce. But the adjunct effect that it can have on caffeine is that it improves focus and alertness without stimulating the body. So it is really good at improving attention, focus, and sustained attention during the day. So I find that I use it personally a lot of the time when I have a lot of different cases coming through my practice. So I'm effectively able to transition from one to another without feeling overwhelmed. So it just takes that element of overwhelm out of my day. So it actually is really good for sleep quality in children, particularly children that have been diagnosed with ADHD. It's great for kids and elderly and everyday, anybody of any age who has acute panic disorder as well. So it helps with schizophrenia too, so people that have been diagnosed with schizophrenia, and it can often, depending on the medications, it can be taken with some medications, although that needs to be reviewed by a health practitioner. So don't just go taking L-Theanine unless you've consulted with a practitioner. So there's always evidence that I like to talk about when I do these remedies of the week, just so you can see where I'm coming from and what the studies and what the literature have looked at. So theanine has a modulatory effect, so that means it changes the effect of alpha brain waves that is dependent on both the dose of theanine that's used and the context and environment the individual is experiencing. So several studies have demonstrated that during a resting state, theanine supplementation as a single dose, which is between 50 to 200 milligrams, significantly increases overall alpha brainwave activity. This effect is associated with increased relaxation without feeling drowsy. So that's the big element of why it's okay to take it during the daytime. Other studies have demonstrated that during active engagement in challenging cognitive tasks, higher dose theanine at 250 milligrams reduces tonical background alpha waves, but they do enhance plastic alpha waves. So this means that the brain is able to respond effectively without getting overwhelmed and without increasing things like cortisol in order to respond to those stressful situations. So it indicates that theanine has selective attention and focusing activity during demanding cognitive tasks. So it's great to use as a tool for people that are very, very busy, that need to have their focus achieved all the time and that they need to be switched on with most things. So there is also a systematic review that was completed evaluating the effect of L-Theanine on stress responses and anxiety levels in 9 randomized controlled trials. And they found evidence that supplementing 200 to 400 milligrams a day reduces stress and anxiety in those undergoing acute stressful conditions. However, there was insufficient evidence to look at chronic conditions, so generalized anxiety disorder, for example. So that's what I was saying before, that L-Theanine is much better in those acute settings. So it is a natural amino acid, and it does work by modulating the alpha brainwave activity. And as I mentioned before, it works better in acute stress than chronic stress. So I'm just going to show you some of the remedies that I have available in L-Theanine, so that you can see the way that they look. So there are different ways that we can take L-Theanine. Of course, you can increase your tea consumption, your green tea consumption. But if you're somebody like me and you struggle with green tea, it has a very astringent effect on my gut, and I can't drink green tea, which is a big shame because I do actually like it, but my body does not like it. So I can take L-Theanine conveniently in a capsule. So this is only available from a practitioner. So you do need to have a review. You do need to have your case looked at before you undertake any remedies like this. But this is a dose of 200 milligrams per capsule. So very convenient to be able to take a good healthy dose of this and then get on with your day. So this is obviously something that we're able to prescribe as naturopaths and nutritionists and also herbalists. So I recommend if you are struggling with cognitive stress, if you're looking for something to help aid you with acute stressful situations, taking L-Theanine for a little while can actually help you cope better during those periods. So I also have L-Theanine in powdered form. So this is great because I can use it for exemptuous compounding. So what does that mean? Exemptuous compounding means that I can make my own remedies for people, so I can use it in combination with other things. So herbal extract powders, things like that, and you can combine a remedy that contains L-Theanine in it, and that can work really, really beautifully. So often I like to use it in combination with things like lavender. I like to use it with GABA powder in some situations, but it all depends on the individual case. So this is what the powder looks like. I'm just going to show you. It is pure white powder. So it is something that can be taken in water. It is something that is really, really fine. So I've got the dosing. This is my own personal dose. So it looks like cornstarch. It's not hard to dissolve. It's easy to take in a little bit of water right away to get that effect in acute situations. So per scoop of this, so we've got probably about half a teaspoon of a scoop, is 200 milligrams of L-Theanine, which is a good dose. But the good thing about the powder is that you can take it in smaller or larger doses if you need to, depending on what's going on in your life. It's very well tolerated, and it's something that, again, I have prescribed for people of all different changes in their life and different stages of their life, and it's worked really, really well. So L-Theanine, amazing remedy that I use all the time in clinical practice, and I encourage you to ask your healthcare professional if you are wanting to try something like this, because it can be just such a beautiful remedy to have on hand whenever you feel that you need that support. Thanks for watching.